Hello, sir. How can I help?
Fuck you, bastard.
Huh?
Can you, like, hook me up and give me your intercom? I'm an influencer.
Huh? Nah, man. You're on that pack, bro.
I was gonna be nice, but if you ain't gonna give me it, I'll grab it.
Bro, stop. You're gonna get me fired, man.
The only thing that's gonna be fire is my Game Awards, man. People have been waiting for the video for at least a few hours. Now give me this shit.
Sup, fuckers? It's Game Awards, baby!
Yo, what the fuck is that?
Alright, all done. Damn, that shit is easier than the movies. Alright, now let me do this shit, this video shit, whatever it's called. Alright, I'm here. I've barricaded the doors, so those evil people persecuting me can't get me. And today, we're here to do what is basically a tradition since 2019. It's called a Game Award thingamajig, and I got some cool rules for this one. They're different from the other one, so I think you'll like them this time. Hopefully. And yes, before you're asking, for lore purposes, I have taken over this grocery store, and I am recording this on a VHS cassette tape, so I can broadcast it in the store when I'm not being persecuted. Yeah. So here's how it's gonna go down this time. So instead of a ranking system of best and worst or whatever shit, no, we're scrapping that out. We're gonna copy game ranks this time. We're gonna have our own little categories. I'll mention them one at a time. And we're gonna have 3 games that are nominated from bronze to gold. And yeah, that's basically it. There's no other rules. And yes, one game can be nominated for multiple categories. And then there's going to be some fun tips and surprises other than just normal award stuff. So I think you guys will like it. And, I mean, you guys want to know what happened in 2020 other than a fucking virus, right? I hope you do. But hey, let's shut up. Let's get it started with the first category in the level approved Game Awards. Here we fucking go. Best RPG is pretty simple. It has to be classified as a role-playing game. Now, as the wise Scott the Waz says, anything could be an RPG, so I'm gonna fucking say that anything that Steam tags defined as an RPG is an RPG. Okay? Alright, then let's get to the Bronze RPG Award. Goes to Monster Sanctuary. Now, this is a pretty fun role-playing game. It's like a mix between Pokemon and a platformer, but it goes more in-depth than the Pokemon games will ever try. Basically, you just go around collecting monsters, you beat up people, then your monsters level up on their own with their own special skills, skill trees, and you collect all the monsters, and some monsters have different abilities you can use to get across certain places and all that stuff. And they have different weaknesses. There's way more elements than Pokemon. I really love this game. I played it from a Flash game website a while ago, and then I bought the full game, and now it's been full access. I haven't played it in a while, but it is great, and it has released in 2020, which is why you might notice that I had it in my 2019 thing, but now it's here because Steam classified it as a 2020 game. I'll still say that I enjoyed it, which is pretty good. It's a pretty good game. I haven't played it in a while since it came out of, I think, when they were working on, when the Winter World was still blocked off. That's where I stopped. But I'm sure it's still just as good as a game as I said it was last year. And since it released in 2020, it's here in the bronze ranking. So, Monster Sanctuary, you have the Bronze RPG Award. Take it with pride. Next, we have the Silver RPG Award. And that goes to Shiren the Wanderer. And whatever other bullshit is in the title. I call it Shiren the Wanderer. So let's call it Shiren the Wanderer. So, what is Shiren the Wanderer? Well, It's an old school kind of RPG. Think of it kind of like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon type stuff. You have a shield, a weapon. Sometimes you have staffs that are consumable. You can use those staffs to hit enemies. You can throw things at enemies, like anything, like even weapons and stuff that you have as extras you can throw at enemies. It's really fun, and it even counts as a roguelike in some respects, which is really cool. So, I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of an old school kind of game, but it is a new game in the series, and it released pretty late in the year. And it's pretty fun. You just beat up enemies in a turn-based kind of fashion, and you just whoop them, and then you keep going. You got to go through 3 different towers, and your goal is to just get to the top of the final tower. And each tower is different in difficulty. There's item storage. There's this really weird mechanic where when you die in a dungeon, you can have someone online save you, which is pretty cool, but it got me confused at first because I was thinking that like I'd have to start completely brand new, but that just means you won't get your items back, which is the roguelike aspect of the game. So if you get a chance to get Shyren the Wanderer on sale next year, I would say get it pretty soon because it's a really good RPG, and it's a good classic RPG if you like one of those or want to get into one of those. It's a bit complex and weird at times, but once you get into it, man, you get into it, and it is really fun. It's a really good time. So, Shyren the Wanderer has the Silver RPG Award. Congratulations. The Gold RPG Award for 2020 goes to Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, I'm only going to talk about this game in aspect of being it being an RPG, so let's do that. Basically, it's an RPG where you're in Japan, you're this Yakuza guy, you beat up a bunch of other people. It's kind of a realistic game, but it can be funny at times. And even though it kind of operates in a way like something like Stick of Truth would, it's really kind of an approachable RPG, and the fact that it's really simple, but at the same time it has kind of a small mechanic built in there where people you fight are going to be moving around a little bit, or they'll get interacted with the environment. Like if a car runs them over when you're fighting in the street, they'll hurt them or kill them or something like that. And on top of that, if you run into items while you're trying to beat up enemies, you'll pick up something off the ground to beat them up with. It's a really fun time, and it's got me invested in playing it every once in a while just to play the battles, because like most RPGs I want to skip enemies, but with Yakuza it kind of just keeps me going for some reason, and you'll see the other reasons why. But yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon gets my thumbs up in terms of RPGs. It's the best RPG I've played this year. So yeah, let's go on to the next award.
Previously on The Walking Dead.
Best Story Games Award. Now, these games may have not been captivating in the gameplay department, but whatever games were nominated here really wove some really good stories for me, kept me entertained, kept me invested in whatever was going on within the game in terms of what was going on with the characters or how something was going to go on. And these games just had the best story out of them all, in my opinion, out of whatever I played. So let's get started with the Bronze Story Games Award. And that one goes to Not for Broadcast. Now, imagine if you were playing Five Nights at Freddy's, but you basically just worked for a news station. That's basically what this game is. It's good in the gameplay department, but the little tidbits of humor here and there, they really keep you going. You want to see what's going on and all that stuff with what you got to check, do the newscast right, but you also want to see how it's going and what funny things are going to transpire. And you get a little bit of control in what gets posted and all that stuff on the news, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. And other than that, there's some compelling gameplay in there if you like managing things and chopping things together, if you want to be a TV thingamajig. But Not for Broadcast really shines in terms of being a story game because it kind of just... it's a little bit funny, and you kind of just want to see where it goes. It has some weird moments and some pretty funny moments. So I think it's worth a buy for anyone who finds it on sale or something like that. Because they put a lot of effort into it. And even during COVID, they're doing some really good shit out there. They're doing some cool shit. So I highly recommend Not for Broadcast, and it got the Bronze Story Games Award. So let's go on to the Silver Story Games Award. Goes to, again, Yakuza Like a Dragon. So let's talk about the story compartment of Yakuza Like a Dragon. Basically, it's a Japanese mafia drama mixed with some humor here and there. You know it's a Japanese game. But basically, it's just so broad and so massive. You find these characters just out of nowhere. You play as one guy who's simping for the Yakuza, and then he gets shot. And then he's with all these other folks, and he has his own party of his own. It's like a rags to riches story kind of thing, but it's also just... It's really fun. You want to see where it's going, and you play the game in the RPG aspect, and it really just... You really want to see where the story's going. And even in the side quest department, too, it has a lot of world building inside of it. And the only places I've seen this kind of stuff being in, this kind of story being so broad, games like GTA 5 or hell, even the Yakuza games themselves, they've done this so many times, but Yakuza Like a Dragon was the one that hit it with me, and I love it. It's a game that I'm really hooked to in terms of story, and it's probably one of the best story games that I've experienced overall, not just in 2020. So, yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon gets the Silver Story Games Award for that reason. And let's move on to the Gold Story Games Award for 2020 is Paradise Killer. Now, Paradise Killer, it's not very much of an amazing game in the gameplay aspect. It's kind of just a walking simulator where you pick things up and just investigate things. The closest comparison I can give is Danganronpa, so excuse me. But yeah, imagine if you were playing Danganronpa the whole time in like the walking aspect. But you don't play Danganronpa for just the walking visual novel aspect, do you? No. You play it for the story, and I played this one for the story. It looked really interesting to me. It has a real interesting art style and kind of stuff as well. But the story is kind of interesting. You play as this detective who's checking this island out. He's trying to investigate a murder. And at any point in your investigation, you can go back and can start convicting people. But I went all the way. You just investigate things, and things get thicker and thicker. And you just investigate stuff. More clues come out. You go do things. You talk to people. You get stuff like that. You go around, do random stuff, and then eventually it just comes out. You lay down the law on a bunch of people, and it got me hooked. It got me hooked. I will admit that, and it kept me going. I just wanted to see where it was going, and I went in every little nook and cranny to get every little clue until I knew I was ready to convict people and all that stuff. And it doesn't go as much as the Dangan games, but honestly, it goes pretty broad, and it's a good time if you like a story from something like Spike Chunsoft or something like that. It doesn't go as far as it, but I'd say it's kept me going in 2020. And it's the best story game that I've probably played in 2020. So let's move on to roguelikes. You know them. They're basically you beat up enemies, you get items that are scattered around, you get more powered up, and you fight bosses, and then you go to the next area, and your overall goal is to get the best combination of items to beat a thing. It's a new trend, a new genre, kind of. And I'm here to tell you which ones in 2020 I liked the most. So let's start with the Bronze Roguelike Award goes to Gunfire Reborn. So Gunfire Reborn is an FPS roguelike. Imagine if you took Serious Sam with a little bit of Overwatch in terms of abilities and weapons, and a little bit of Borderlands too in there in terms of weapons and all that stuff. You go around little dungeon rooms, you shoot enemies in a dueling kind of fashion, and each room you get better weapons. You have special abilities to use, and you can pick between 3 weapons. There's 4 characters now, so it's pretty fun. I like playing it. Whenever I want to boot it up, I just boot it up and I have some fun. And there's also progression involved. So yeah, it's a pretty good time. You just shoot enemies, you go to the next area. There's like 4 bosses now, and the bosses are pretty fun too. And of course, there's passive items to keep you going. There's like, I can't think of it on the top of my head. But yeah, there's passive items and all that stuff. It's basically a roguelike. It's the perfect roguelike. It's a first-person shooter roguelike. Think of Immortal Redneck. If you like Immortal Redneck, you will like this one. So I would highly recommend it to anyone who likes FPSs and anyone who likes roguelikes. This game just goes hand in hand in both of those categories, and it's a really good time. It's really fun, and I love it. The Silver Roguelike Award goes to Noida. I saw this game at launch. I was like, damn, this looks cool. When is it coming out? Then it came out this year, and I was like, I'm buying this at launch. And I did buy it at launch. And I was not disappointed one bit. Basically, it has the same kind of gameplay style as Terraria, or kind of set in that kind of style. Except everything is like really super interactable. Everything has physics. Everything has interactability. Not only that, though, but it's a roguelike. You can customize special wands that you have and all that stuff. So everything is super hyper interactive. And you can just get wands and customize them with different spells and shoot enemies and get to the bottom, and then you get passive upgrades or buy wands or buy spells for your wands. And it's really fun. I like it. You just play it, and it gets really suspenseful too. Like, it has some great atmosphere. I love it, and shit, I'm just saying the same shit. But yeah, it's just a kind of roguelike. It's a 2D kind of, you shoot enemies, you go down to the bottom. You have loads of different spells, and other than that, there's not much else to say. There's a wide variety of potions and stuff. There's lava, there's water, there's acid, and there's bunches of different kind of enemies. It's pretty hard. You die in like barely any hits, and your health just like, you don't regenerate your health unless you find something cool, or you just get to the bottom and heal up. So it's worth a play. Get it whenever you can. It's a really good roguelike, and it's the second best roguelike I've played in 2020, so get it when you can. And the Golden Roguelike Award goes to Risk of Rain 2. Now this is one of the most definitive roguelike experiences I have played, bar maybe Binding of Isaac or anything like that. This is a third-person shooter roguelike. You get passive items to buff you up, and you have like 20 different classes. You just kill enemies all over the arena, finding treasures and all that stuff, and then you get to the middle and fight a boss. And it's so fun. Just getting all the items that you can, killing enemies and all that stuff, finding all the secrets. I haven't had this kind of experience since Binding of Isaac Rebirth came out in 2014, and I am glad I found this game. It is so fun. Even though I haven't played it nearly as much time as I should, it's honestly a game I would say get it whenever you can. If you love roguelikes, or if you've played Binding of Isaac as much as I have, you're gonna want to play it. I can't give it enough justice. It's an absolutely amazing game. You have different abilities and stuff. You have a different weapon for your class. You base your things off of you base your attack style on your class. There's different achievements for all sorts of stuff that you can do, and you will need the wiki for some things, which, yeah, it goes with most roguelikes. The better the roguelike, the more you'll need to check the wiki for how complex and things are sometimes. But it's worth it, just looking around and seeing what you need to do and all that stuff. It is so fun, and I love it so much. And it's getting more updates and more DLC and stuff. So if you like the game as it is, it's gonna get even better. So yeah, Risk of Rain 2 is the best roguelike for 2020 for my Game Awards. So let's go on to the next category. Anime games, whether they be based off of anime shows themselves, whether they look like anime, all that kind of stuff. In 2020, I didn't really play many games in this category. I made this category on a whim. But hey, I managed to pull out a few of them, and I just wanted to spice things up. So let's talk about the best anime games I played in 2020, starting with... Alright, the Bronze Anime Game Award goes to, again, Shiren the Wanderer. Now, in terms of being an anime game, yup, it has a very anime-esque style. It looks very kawaii, as the children say. And it has rice balls, and overall it has an anime-esque art style. Retro anime-esque art style, but hey, it's an anime game. I looked under anime on Lorenzo Stanco, my Steam sorting list, and hey, it counts as anime, so... Probably because it was only published by Spike Chunsoft, but hey, it's an anime game, so it's on the list, and it deserves any kind of credential. It's a good RPG, so it's a pretty good anime game. If you're looking for anime games, Shiren the Wanderer has you partially covered. Like if you're in your underwear only, it has you covered in that department. The essentials. So yeah, let's go on to the Silver Anime Games Award goes to One Step from Eden. Now, I got this one from Humble Choice, but hey, it counts as an anime game, and I wanted to put it somewhere on here, because it is a decent game. Basically, think of Mega Man Battle Network as a roguelike, and it's also, it's like kind of Slay the Spire. It's really good. You shoot up enemies on the side, and you just try to avoid their attacks in real time. You shoot enemies with attacks in real time that have a charge. You shuffle your cards and all that stuff. If you're in the mood for a kind of turn-based RPG thing that all happens in real time and you gotta react and move around the board, pretty much like Mega Man Battle Network with some roguelike elements, this will be the anime game, according to Steam tags, for you. So, yeah, that is the second best anime game I've played in 2020. I'm rushing through these, I don't know why. Let's move on next to the Gold Anime Games Award goes to Neoverse. This is basically Slay the Spire if it had hot anime 3D women. I like it. It's another Slay the Spire. If you liked Slay the Spire, hey, you will like Neoverse. And hey, if you need some anime, that kind of material, which is nice looking, hey, Neoverse has you covered in that aspect too. If you like Slay the Spire, have no dignity whatsoever, Neoverse does not go wrong. It's a good experience, and it's the best anime game I've played in 2020. It's something I think you guys should check out. If you have no dignity, once again, I'm just saying it's raunchy at times, but not overtly raunchy. So, next, let's move on to the next award, quickly, before someone eavesdrops on what I'm saying. That one came out again? Cool! Games that came out again due to cult following status, or maybe just needing to be ported to new platforms, maybe even getting remade at times. These are the games that I enjoyed coming out again. So let's start with the first one. The Bronze, that one came out again, award goes to Ninja Kiwi Archive. Now, I haven't personally played this one, but I do approve of its release. It's a free-to-play collection of Ninja Kiwi games, the maker of Bloons and Me Blings and whatever else other Flash games they got. I'm all for preservation of Flash games, so hey, this collection is worth a download, just due to the fact that Flash is going away, even though you can still probably use it after the date with plugins and shit. Those people love preserving old things. So yeah, if you want to play Bloons, you want to play Meeblings, you want to play whatever else Ninja Kiwi got, Ninja Kiwi Archive is for you. And I approve of all of these games. Hell, I was playing Bloons 6 this year, which was pretty good. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, check out Ninja Kiwi Archive. It'll have something that you remember remember playing as a kid in your web design class or something like that. I totally didn't do that. The silver, that one came out again, award. It goes to the Henry Stickmin collection. Another Flash game revival, but this time it has all the Henry Stickmin games remade in the collection. And on top of that, it has a new story, finishing the something. And it's also got some content where you can right-click characters and get bios on them, which is a nice touch. If you liked playing the game where you could pick things to get through things and discover all the endings and all that stuff, this is the game for you. It's not anything groundbreaking, but hey, it was fun back when there wasn't much going on computers and these guys were doing really good animation. And hey, these are the guys who made Among Us later, which is also admirable. So yeah, if you liked Henry Stickmin and you want to go back to it, the collection came out. Get it. You need to. Support the developers, man. They made some good stuff. So yeah, let's move on to the gold. That one came out again. Award goes to SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Oh yes, I finally get to talk about this one. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom was one of my favorite platformers on the PlayStation 2. I played the PS2 version. Suck it. It's so good. You just walk around a linear stage, get golden spatulas, whoop enemies. It's one of the many among those platformers like Ty the Tasmanian Tiger or whatnot that every kid who didn't have much money or just like playing platformers got to play. And it's fun. It's got a killer soundtrack. It's really fun. You just jump around, bounce around, all that stuff. And the remake does the game a lot of justice. It's good. I see no major flaws with it. Wink, wink. So, yeah, if you liked Battle for Bikini Bottom and you want a good platformer, or if you just want a good platformer, like a good platformer, all that stuff, get it. It can be a little boring at times, but it's really good. It's worth whatever you get it for. It's a really good platformer. I love it, and it's one of the best games that came out again in 2020. So let's go on to the next award. Let's give some love to those games that just didn't quite make it by a long shot, an absolute long shot. This is the Garbage Awards. It just has to be a bad game. That's all this category is. You make it here, you don't get to be happy. You just get a trash can for the night. I'm sorry, but these games are garbage. Let's continue. The Bronze Garbage Award, i.e. the game that was the least garbage out of the three, is Jeff. Now, on paper, it's pretty cool, I guess, but it's just kind of a walking simulator where you do random things sometimes. It's a pretty short game. It has hella performance issues. And it just has, I don't know, it has weird commentary. And there's this one gameplay section that you cannot beat at all. And it's like the second to last thing. Get it out of curiosity if you want, but I personally think it's pretty garbage. I didn't get much enjoyment out of it when I bought it on heavy sale. It's just not that good. But if you want a good laugh, or if you're getting high for the night, Jeff will help you out, man. It'll help you out. It's garbage. Let's move on to the next one. The Silver Garbage Award goes to, controversial take to all those normies out there, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Now, some of you may be wondering, why do I consider this game garbage? It's pretty polished. It's pretty fair. Well, I think it's personally garbage because of the gameplay loop and the trend it's based off of. And the fact that it's marketed as an indie game when it was meant to be successful in the first place, so I consider it a AA game. So yeah, it just has a really malicious kind of addictive grind to it, and it has that treacherous frickin' Seasons Pass grinding shit. And it teeters the line so close to being morally repugnant in its features and all the skins and all the microtransactions, the kudos, the refreshing store. It's just wanting to be this game just to be that kind of game, and I don't like it on a personal level. It's dangerously addictive. It is, and I'm glad it fell out of the pan so quick. It is not worth getting. You'll have fun for about probably, I don't know, depending on how addicted you get. You'll have fun for a while. But eventually it got really tedious for me. I stopped playing about where Season 2 ended and I was grinding everything out. And I'm like, what the fuck is the point in this? I keep losing. I never get to the top of the crown. It's just not worth it to me to play these kind of Battle Royale games. And I don't know what they need to do to fix it. But in my own Game Awards, this is pretty garbage. Let's move on to the next garbage award. Alright, here's what you've been waiting for. The Gold Garbage Award, aka the Golden Turd. You know, like the golden turd you get in frickin' Breath of the Wild and all that shit. This is the Golden Turd. The Golden Garbage Award goes to Mod and Play. None of you have heard of this one, so let's talk about it and dissect it. So, Vector discovered this in my Discord group. Me and Caffeine got really hyped on it. It looked pretty promising, but after a while it got abandoned. It's basically a Unity Garry's Mod clone, and made by a Russian developer who didn't pay his taxes, so got all his Steam money suspended. And it was looking to be something real good, but it just fizzled out and died. It's pretty buggy, it's underdeveloped, and it's not gonna go anywhere. It turned out to be slower and slower progress, slower than even Face Punch on Garry's Mod. So honestly, this game is not worth you getting. It's not worth anyone getting at this point, unless the developer makes drastic changes within the next year, which I honestly doubt. It is the most garbage game I have played in 2020. So let's move on to the next award category. Indie games. This just has to be a game made by an independent studio, or looks to be an indie game. Or it was an indie game pushed by the big man, brought up to popular things. It's just gotta be an indie game. And these are the best experiences that are independent, could you say. So the first one in that category is the Bronze Award for Best Indie Experience goes to Skate Master Tachiko. Now, while I haven't played this game in the series, I have played Chico in the Castle of something, and Caffeine recommended me this game, and yeah, I'm sure this one's just as good as the other one. It's a platformer that looks like an NES game. It's good stuff, and it's an indie game. It's a real indie game, and I'm sure none of you have heard of it before. So hey, it's an independent game. It's a platformer, kind of hard as hell. If you like retro platformer kind of things that aren't just trying to play around with you because, like Shovel Knight or something, where they just try to be retro, but there's some things that they do that aren't retro, this is the independent game for you. Now let's move on to the silver one. The silver Best Indie Experience goes to Carry On. I played this one at launch, I'm pretty sure, or I got it on sale. Either way, hey, it's a fun reverse horror game type thing where you play as a spaghetti monster and you manipulate your limbs so you pull people around and eat them, and you explore through an area and do puzzles and explore and figure things out and get more abilities and just kill people. It's gruesome. And I completely agree with the consensus that this is a pretty good game, and it's nice. It came out of nowhere, and it's really cool. If you like a unique kind of gameplay style where you can just eat people and all that stuff, and you can just use the mouse, it's a really fun game to play with just mouse only. It's really quite fun. If you like something like that, and you like horror games, and you want to be the enemy or villain or monster or whatever not, this is the game for you. So let's move on to the gold. Best indie experience game goes to Undermine. This is another game that I took appreciation for in its early days. And hey, it's a roguelike, top-down kind of thing, like Binding of Isaac, but it also has progression like Slay the Spire. Oh, no, not Slay the Spire, my bad. Like Rogue Legacy, more like. And you just hit enemies with your pickaxe. You get different items that are passive that help you out. And once you're dead, you upgrade stuff with coins, or you buy things, or abilities that you get at the beginning. All that stuff. It's a really fun roguelike. The reason why it's not at the top of my roguelike list or whatnot is mostly because it just didn't hit the mark compared to the other games, or it just didn't wow me as much as the other games did. I played this one first, and then the other ones came out, and I was like, whoa, cool. But hey, it is a good indie experience, so I'll put it there. It's a bunch of independent developers. It barely got any attention until Vinesauce covered it. So hey, I'm all down for it. It's a really good game, and you should get it when you can if you like roguelikes. That game, Undermine, is the best indie experience I've seen in 2020. So let's move on to the next award. Best party/local multiplayer game. I lumped these two together because I didn't have much for this category, but I did have some things to say. So hey, if it's a party game you can play online with friends, or it's a local multiplayer game, which I mean those should come hand in hand. But hey, if it's a local multiplayer game, or if it's defined as a party game, it fits within these criteria. And I'm a master of local multiplayer games. I have loads of them. I have my own Steam categories for them, because I always have people who want to play games with me, and I don't always have consoles that do local multiplayer. I don't even have many consoles, period. I usually do handheld. So hey, here are the best party/local multiplayer games that I've found this year. Let's start. The bronze for party local multiplayer goes to, once again, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and only its local multiplayer mode. It's kind of a top-down horde mode. It's a pretty fun time. You get a friend. You can either shoot or whack enemies. It's basically just kind of a horde mode on islands that you jump around to. It's nothing too special, but hey, Purple Lantern wanted to put more stuff in the game, and they said they'd put in a multiplayer mode, and hey, it's not half bad of a multiplayer mode as far as local multiplayer games go. I've seen worse. I've played worse with friends. This will not get you wrong if you just want to play a local multiplayer game, but it's not the primary reason you should be buying SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. But hey, it's a bonus to what's already in the package, and it's a good enough package to have gotten on this category for the bronze party local multiplayer category. And that's all I'll say about it. Let's move on to the next one. The silver party local multiplayer game. Hold your horses. This one's gonna rock your boat. This one's gonna push you out of your seats. Clash Cup Turbo. You haven't heard that name for years. But news alert, the game came out in 2020. It came out. I know. So now it's about time I talk about it, right? After all those years, I got a free review copy, and the developer said, hey, you can do it. Go ahead, get a free beta code. I'm here to talk about the game that I didn't talk about. I'll only talk about it for like a minute, but hey, here we go. So, Clash Cup Turbo. It's a tennis-type Pong game, which is pretty fun, and you can play with friends, you get power-ups and all that stuff. I haven't played it since way back then. I only put it on here because it released. And if you get it on sale, you should get it. It's a pretty good time. You just kind of play a tennis table hockey type of game. It's a fun game with friends if you like that kind of thing. And it's also a kind of game where you have stuff on the side as well. Like, it's not just two goals. There's also goals on the side that you have to try to protect. I'm not too totally sure on how it works because I played it a long time ago. But yeah, it's It's the second best local party multiplayer game I played this year, and hey, you should check it out after all these years. I held on to it and got interested into it, and the developers finally decided to release it. I don't know what motivated them, but they put it out. So hey, props to them. You get on my Game Award list for that. Alright, let's go on to E Gold, aka the best party/local multiplayer game. In this list that I saw this year was Jackbox Party Pack 7. You saw this coming. I'm a fan of the Jackbox Party Pack games. And hey, 7 was a good improvement. I thought they were gonna slump in quality since 5 side games weren't that impressive, and 6 kind of let me down a little bit more. But oh man, 7 came out, and it's a good time. They brought out a lot of new ones that are pretty good. They brought one that, I gotta go check it real quick. My bad, I just don't remember. I'm doing this at the top of my head. So they have Talking Points, which is a PowerPoint type one. It's pretty fun. I like that one. Blather Round, it's a great time. You just type words in and then see what they're talking about, but you can only just like you can only do a few certain things or whatnot, and they can only describe the thing with a very few amount of words, and you have to find out what it is. It's a fun time. It's like charades. Devil's in the Details is a game where you do tasks and you try to work together as a family. And you yell at each other if you need to do things together. It's pretty fun. Quiplash 3 is Quiplash 3. There's no need to explain that one. Champed Up is like TKO. I'm not gonna lie. It's another one of those games where you just draw and you have them fight. It's kind of just it. But hey, Talking Points, Blather Around, Devil in the Details are some of the best Jackbox games I've seen so far. So that's why it's on my best party/local multiplayer list. It's a fun time. Jackbox Party Pack 7 is one of the best packs released so far. So hey, get it if you want to get it, or just hit me up on Discord and I can set up a party of it. It's great. I love the Jackbox Party Pack games. I've gotten all of them since the thing came out, and it's great. So yeah, let's move on to the next category. This one should be pretty self-explanatory. It has the best music/soundtrack, but I'm just going to call it best music. These games had really killer songs, or songs that really fit with the mood of the game, and these were the ones that were released in 2020. So, let's talk about games with the best music/soundtrack. Or just best music. Yeah, let's do that. Bronze Best Music Award goes to Noida. As I mentioned earlier, it has a really good atmospheric soundtrack, and it may not have much to it, but oh man, it gets you tense. Whenever an enemy's fighting you, that soundtrack just kills you, man. It absolutely overwhelms you. You're gonna shit your pants when you hear this soundtrack, or you're gonna feel like you're really in the mood to play the game. Whatever it is, this soundtrack really fits in. It's the one that fits in the most, and I love it. So, that's the Bronze Award for music. Let's move on to... Silver Music Award goes to Risk of Rain 2. It's a really good roguelike. It's got a pretty decent soundtrack. It's got some ambient tunes. The boss music really gets you pumped into the action. And the music tracks just really make you want to explore. And it's really good soundtrack. I don't know what else to say. It's got some techno vibes here or there. Not too overtly techno. But hey, you could put it in a playlist and it would sound pretty good. So hey, this Risk of Rain 2 has good music. I mean, one of the best roguelikes ever has got to have one of the best soundtracks ever, right? And yeah, it does. So it's going on the list. Now let's go on to the next one. The Gold Music Soundtrack Award goes to, yeah, you guessed it, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Oh man, this may be an old soundtrack, but man, these remastered tunes and surround sound, oh, they make me feel so good. Every tune in SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom is a banger, and they remastered it to be surround, and I could not be more thankful. Some of these tunes I would put on my own Spotify playlist. They're that good. And I love them. They are really good. I love them so much. And man, I don't know what else to say. Google the soundtrack on YouTube and you will see countless people sharing the same sentiment. It just really gets you into the vibe of each area. Jellyfish Fields sounds like what Jellyfish Fields would sound like. Downtown Bikini Bottom sounds like what Downtown Bikini Bottom would sound like. Goo Lagoon sounds like what Goo Lagoon would sound like. And the list goes on. These are killer tracks. They fit perfectly wherever they're put into. And the person who crafted them is a musical genius in terms of making video game soundtracks. And there could be lots to be learned in music from these tunes. And even though it got re-released, this is the game with the best soundtrack in 2020, in my opinion. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Humor is a subjective thing. However, I'm going to be completely objective and tell you about which games had me laughing the most. Not actually laughing, but they made me chuckle. They had their funny moments. And why am I saying it's objective? Because it's objectively what I think. So hey, you can't change what I'm thinking. So it's the objective list about something subjective. The funniest games in 2020. Let's get started. The bronze funniest game goes to Family Man. This is a management game where you accidentally shoot someone and you gotta get money because you accidentally shot one of your friends and you owe money to the mafia and yeah. But basically it has such surreal, dark, and weird moments. It had me laughing every once in a while. And I actually discovered it on a Call Me Kevin video. And you know what? I actually got interested in the game. And it's a good time. It'll at least have you laughing a little bit. Or if not, you'll enjoy how the game works, where you just do a linear kind of thing and do some quests, I guess. It's a fun game. It's alright. It's pretty funny, though. It got me laughing sometimes. It puts you in some weird, absurd moments. So, hey, it's the bronze funniest game. So let's move on to the next one. The silver funniest game goes to, once again, Not for Broadcast. As I said earlier, it has its funny moments, and its humor really shined through this terrible year, even when they were dealing with it themselves. So, yeah, it has its funny moments. Some of the people on there are weird and eccentric. You have to do funny things, and it breaks the wall sometimes with how it just tells you what to do. It's like, hey, you gotta do this, or hey, you gotta do that, or all that shit. It's funny. It's got good humor value, and if you're looking for something that'll get you chuckling every once in a while, or make you sigh out of your nose, because you're doing that, no doubt, Not for Broadcast is the game for you. On to the gold. The gold funniest game award goes to, once more, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, let me explain why this game is so hilarious to me. The situations it puts you in aptly was described by a commenter on Germa Stream as, well, a Japanese mafia game with occasional Simpsons episodes sprinkled in there. It's a pretty apt description, and I'll tell you why. There's a scene where you go get water for a baby that's crying. You do that, go inside, and it's a bunch of Yakuza diaper fetishists, and you whoop their ass, and then they become your summon. It just has so many of those moments, and it's gotten me chuckling and doing all that, reacting in a funny way, all that stuff. This game is one of the most funniest games I've seen in 2020. It's given me so much humor value. It's busted my side numerous times. My funny bone has gone off the charts. If you like games that are really weird and wacky and have good humorous moments, Yakuza Like a Dragon won't have you wrong. And it's a good RPG to bat. So, and it's got a good story to bat. So, hey, Yakuza Like a Dragon, you are the funniest game I've played in 2020. Let's move on to the last two categories of my list. Games with the best glitch/exploit potential belong here. Either they're outright glitchy, or they have fun glitches that make them a good speedrun, or a good game to just toy around with and see where it just breaks. There were a few of these this year, I'll tell you that. Let's discuss. The Bronze Glitch Exploit Potential Award goes to The Amazing Shrinking Giraffe. This game is more of a toy than a game, and it's a very, very, very buggy one at that. You can't even hardly do anything that you're supposed to do in this game. It's hard to do anything with how broken this main mechanic of the game is. You're supposed to be able to shrink or grow as large or as small as you want in different environments, and honestly, it's just not very good of a game. But it's glitchy, and it's a very good curiosity. I didn't put it on my garbage list because it's a curiosity more than a game. And it wasn't outright terrible compared to the other ones. It would have been on my 4th place if I wanted to put it there. It's a game, and it has glitches, and it's hard to play it when it has glitches. So yeah, it's a game with a lot of glitch potential, but not the good kind. That's why I put it in the bronze category. So let's move on. The Silver Award for the best glitch exploit potential goes to, once again, Mod and Play. I already discussed this earlier. It's a pretty bad game, but the glitches are pretty entertaining. I will give the game that. You put like 4 thrusters on something and it'll go into space and absolutely destroy your frame rate. You put too many things down, your game will crash and you'll be at 2 frames per second. It's a fun game to glitch and play around with, but other than that, it is not worth you getting. If you want to glitch around and break stuff, Mod and Play is fun. But if you want a game, Mod and Play is not for you. Let's move on to the next one. Alright. The Gold Award for Best Glitch/Exploit Potential goes to SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated once again. Day 1, this game had an exploit where you just jump to the end by pressing buttons on 2 controllers. There are exploits where you can lag the game to warp anywhere. There was an exploit discovered by A+ Start where you could just jump up and spin with the bubble wand and go out of bounds. This game had more glitches than BFBB Classic, and it's kind of become to a point where it's not that fun of a speed game, but it still has really interesting glitches, and I hope that the community finds way more as the game progresses. It's that good kind of category where it's glitchy, but it's fun, and you can go above and beyond. This game is just meant to be broken open, and I hope that it just becomes a really good speed game and turns into something amazing, because that's what got the game up there in the first place. All the speedrunners coming out making the game popular as well. That's what brought it out. So I hope it gets all the cool glitches it needs, because I love games with cool glitches. As long as it's not a game that has bad glitches, I don't know what the point is. I don't see why developers care about glitches so much. But hey, if they're bad glitches, patch them out. If they're good glitches, you should keep them in. My opinion. But yeah, let's move on to the last category before I bring Levelbot onto the stage to talk about more things. Port. There were games that got ported to Steam this year, so let's talk about those games that were pretty much unaltered and brought to PC. Basically, that's what I'm talking about here. Let's talk about the best ports of 2020. The bronze for best ports goes to Doom 64. a Nintendo 64 version of Doom that was considered pretty much a cult classic on the system. And id / Bethesda brought it out when Doom Eternal launched. And hey, it's like $5. It's worth going out and grabbing. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard it's pretty good, and I'm glad it's on here, on Steam now, because Bethesda's decided to do a pre-order bonus where you get Doom 64 for free with Eternal. So yeah, it's cool. I'll get to it, but hey, I approve. Bronze port. Woo woo. Silver award for best port goes to The Sims 4. I'm glad this one finally got put on Steam, and I made a bet to myself. As soon as this goes on Steam and it goes on good sale, I'm gonna get it. And hey, I did. EA did an incredible sale for Sims 4 when it dropped on Steam. $5 for the game with other DLC for pretty cheap as well. And hey, this port is good. It made me make a Origin account, which I don't like. But hey, it's The Sims 4. And modding is easy. It's fun. Relatively. I enjoyed The Sims 4. It's a good game. I just think that the expansions, you just need to get the expansions to experience it fully, or just mod it. But hey, isn't that the same for Sims 3 as well? Sims 4, good port. Let's move on to the best port of 2020. The best port for 2020 goes to Namco Museum Archives Volume 1. I know I'm cheating a little bit, but I've been waiting for this one for a while. It's a port of a bunch of Namco arcade games, but what sets this one apart is that it includes a bonus, Pac-Man Championship, as an NES remake, which, that's what got me interested in these new collections. It's interesting. I'm gonna play it pretty soon, but hey, these arcade games are pure classics, and I'm glad they got some of them. I'm glad some of them got ported to Steam. There were already some on Steam already, but I'm glad there's more on Steam now. So hey, best port of 2020. Now, I'm getting kind of exhausted, so for the next few things, I'm going to leave it to Levelbot. But I will say, the next category will be community suggestions. These are games that the community in my Discord decided to name their best game of 2020. And after that, I'll do a bronze, silver, gold ranking of my best games of 2020, because I can't pick one for shit, but I can rank them. So, hasta luegos. This has been Level. Enjoy the rest of this video.
What now? It's time to rock with the biggity buck bumble. What about now?
This is Levelbot once again put together the community suggestions for the year 2020. I will state their username, their game, and why they liked it. Here we go. Here we go, calf. There is no game. The game retains the dry wit of the original game while taking the concept of fucking with a game like it's a set and pushes it to an extreme with legitimately unique puzzle gameplay, a surprisingly well-written story, great graphics, and a pretty beefy 5-6 hour playtime for the price. Zank, Mr. Cranky. It's one of the biggest speedrunning games this year, besides Minecraft and some other shit, and it's literally just a game about Mr. Krabs overdosing on ketamine. Galaxy Goober, insanely awesome the gameplay is and its incredible story. Baggy, Dread X Collection 1-3. They're what got me into the indie horror scene. They're all collections of small horror games, each made by a different developer. It really helped support the scene and was able to make some really freaky trippy stuff. Indie horror creators really get horror and there's so much passion poured into each game. Drago, The World Ends With You remake. Only because I beat it this year. Stealth Hat, Cyberpunk 2077. I'd probably go with Cyberpunk 2077 since I've been waiting for it since the AUG announcement like 8 years ago, and it gave me something to do while I sit in the mountains. Also, it shows promise of being able to come back in some years with cool mods and stuff. Good luck in life, MC Eternal. Dude, it's going to be MC Eternal. That's the only game I've been on this year. Banana Bot, Among Us was released a few years ago, but its critical popularity this year definitely left an impact. Ubershigai, Terraria's Calamity mod. For its immense variety, challenge, teamwork potential, and fun. I don't play games often, but when I do, I play with friends, and it's the perfect multiplayer game. Osama Thick Laden, Risk of Rain 2. I didn't play many games that came out this year, but of the ones I did play, Risk of Rain 2 is my favorite. It's the only 3D roguelike that I know of, and it actually works well. There's a bunch of different characters that all have completely different playstyles that never make the game boring. Also, RNG plays a huge role in the game, so no two runs are the same, thus adding to the enjoyment. Nimnoi, Stardew Valley. It's a very cozy game I can play co-op with my girlfriend. Vector, COD Black Ops Cold War. It looks promising and fun. BMC Studio, Cumulator 3. Because it ruined my life. Gonkel, Yakuza 0. It's the only major 2020 title I've played. Lol, but the story is pretty good. Anime Look, Phasmophobia. Cause it fun with friend. Blue 91321, Cyberpunk 2077. If it was buggy, it was still fun. Pixfit Jr., Phasmophobia. I guess the multiplayer aspect of it all. I just lay with friends, and it's the only game I played that came out this year. Sneaky Glasses 64, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Good story, no problems, 120 FPS, you can't beat the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. And now, no bullshit, it is time for Level's top 3 games of 2020. He can't be fucked to explain, so here is a quick list of them. Bronze, Risk of Rain 2. Silver, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Gold, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon.